You read the title. Now, what do I mean? Just looking at it from the most basic point of view that we can, right? Life is about survival. You have a creature that has its outside influences, its stimuli that negatively or positively impact its survival, needing for it to adapt to create better or worse survival. If it succeeds, natural selection occurs and you get a better creature, right? But all of it, due to how Earth is made, is under, I guess, earthly circumstances, yeah? And I guess if not, then most likely extinction occurs. Now, humans, right? But what's most important, right? Let's do a little drawing here. Reward sacrifice. Wow, that looks like ass. Okay. Alright. Life is a balance. Right? Life is always a balance. Now, when you do something, naturally there's a reward and a sacrifice. It doesn't have to be one after the other. They can act in any sort of order, since they are not physical concepts. It can be sacrifice, then reward, like as expected. But it may also be reward, and then a due is paid in sacrifice. It just depends on the situation. Now, when we think about life and how things are usually supposed to go, you have usually an equal level. They take away from each other equally. So if something takes this much reward, inversely, it'll take that much sacrifice, right? That's normal. That's how things are supposed to do. We work on a pendulum that keeps the balance, right? We like this. We like the sense of balance. And it's not always going to be perfect. Sometimes, it'll go a little bit more like this. More sacrifice, less reward. Usually, though, it's more reward for less sacrifice. Since humans are a very optimal creature, usually it's reward going down and then sacrifice is more like right here, right? If we were to imagine this as a literal scale, something like that, at the most extreme of human optimization past the 20th century, right? Or before the 20th century. And that's fine. Nowadays, we're looking at something more like this. And this is bad. This is horrifying. And why is it like this? Technology. When we think about technology, the way it rewards doing absolutely nothing is just absurd. And generally, you had to make food. Okay, so let's just restore our bars, right? Refine the animal. Okay, that's some sacrifice going down. Some sacrifice. Okay, kill the animal. Alright, it went down a little bit. Okay. Now, prepare the animal correctly. Okay. Now, again, the animal can only be eaten in a certain amount of period of time. It has a non-expiry date that you have to eat it before until the food's not edible anymore. Because you can't just store it. Okay. Plenty of sacrifice. And reward, you're satiated. You get to live. You get to move on another day. It's a pretty good reward, I'd even say it's the sacrifice is even a bit more than the reward, and that's still a pretty good reward. As optimization goes further, the reward kind of gets better. The sacrifice gets a little less. You got a fridge. Maybe we have farming now, so we can kind of get these animals access more easily. But things aren't still super sweet. They're just kind of going up and down a little bit. Nothing really noticeable to the human eye. But nowadays, guess what? You travel. Okay, When you travel, you should use your feet. That takes energy. You have to make sure you're hydrated, make sure you're comfortable. That weather actually outside matters. You have to take in all these factors. Again, sacrificing quite a few things as you think about the things you need to maintain as you go, but in return, the reward. Not just the reward of getting there, but the gratitude you have, the exercise you gained, and of course the calories that you burned. All of that is a great reward. And we're meeting back, in the middle. Balance. Nowadays, you want to get somewhere? Okay. You want to get somewhere? Alright, just, walk a little bit to your car. Step on the pedal. Teleport there in about 15 minutes. Reward? It's pretty good. Not a lot of sacrifice, right? Okay. Food. Prepare it now. You can kind of just get. Someone will teleport it to your house. And all you have to do is just tap a few buttons on your phone. Okay, look at the reward going down. Sacrifice not really moving that much. You want to learn something? Just Google the answer. Okay, reward. Sacrifice not moving a little much. You want to meet people? An app will just do it for you. Reward not moving too much. You want entertainment? An algorithm will find it for you. Rewards not moving too much. You want to fucking go to a place, you can just teleport there to travel. You can see all of it, everything, boom, bam, whatever. Look at all this reward for what little sacrifice. Now, you see what used to be this? That kind of tolerable scale. Now it's looking more, bam. Now it looks more like this. Why is this bad? Now we know that life is balanced. When you do this, life is no longer balanced. What is that? What is the opposite of balance? Chaos. Armageddon. War. Blight. Plague. Whatever you want to call it. You're probably wondering, okay, what if we inversed it? What does the inverse look like where this is flipped on the y-axis? Look at ancient civilizations, right? And here's some food for thought. They would have societies where they would just kind of sacrifice animals, humans, babies, all these things for naught, right? To sort of appease a god. But what if their seemingly meaningless sacrifice was to prevent this from happening? What if they also lived in a society where they were getting awfully close to this image here, but in order to return the balance, they would do sacrifice that would eventually restore the balance? Maybe they didn't understand it at that point. You can use whatever logic of, them being dumber, just being less advanced, but surely they're not so dumb just to throw things out for nothing, just to sacrifice for nothing. Same thing in religion, all this, the idea of praying has been since the birth of religion. What is praying? It's a sacrifice of your time for no immediate physical reward. I guess, yeah, discipline from a spiritual perspective, but no immediate reward. No, all these idea of this kind of blind sacrifices. Their uses to restore what seems to be too much of a reward. And I would say, as in a human, it's the reason why, things are too good to be true, too good to be true, too good to be true. Why? Because when something's too good to be true, it resembles this imbalance. And we know internally that's wrong. We know that's not right. Religion is literally built in our bones, and it's to keep us from entering evil. Every time. There is a demanding relationship between sacrifice and reward. Religion is the biological attempt, the biological
A
stopgap.
loophole, kind of.
It's the biological stopgap to ensure that the relationship between sacrifice and reward, is not being too tipped over the scale on a greedy amount.
Now you
It's
just
quite
talk about
literally a biological cue to keep you sane. It doesn't have to be like theistic religion. It doesn't have to be like Christianity or whatever. When people deny it though, and they just think it's nothing, they start to slowly train themselves to turn it the fuck off, and they start delving and diving deeper into their demonic activity. It's evil. Not that saying, oh, if you say you're a Christian, you're good. Because there's a lot of people that claim a actual theistic religion and are not actually tapped into with their religion. It's just a farce. It's a face. Why do people pray? Even though it nets like nothing in front of them, it nets nothing to them. It's this sacrifice of time and appreciation and all of this dedication you can be giving to other materialistic things, but you're giving it to this greater idea, this greater
I've heard
identity
that. That's
of
good.
virtue.
That's good. That's a good thing to
It's
have.
repaying what should be materialistically useless energy towards sacrifice. It's the same logic why societies would, sacrifice people. Like, oh, they're just dumb. That's why they sacrifice babies and cute goats and animals, whatever the fuck, or whatever they sacrifice. No, it's there's something telling them that perhaps in their society they've perhaps gone too far. They've gone too pleasured, or maybe they want the pleasure. So in return, they understand the transaction of giving sacrifice in order to net reward. So I want to talk about two things. One, what happens when we get here, and how to return it. Even though I think that kind of just explained how you return it, but still, what happens? What happens when you get here, right? Like I said before, Armageddon, there will be a war. When I think about this, I imagine like these death metal covers where you have these people like naked, just kind of screaming and like in mania, like just burning, and like just all frolicking about in their bedlam, their lunacy. That's what I see in my head, thinking about this depiction. It's these mindless people with no sense of sacrifice, no sense of gratefulness. They're just like animals. They've gone mad. It's a hell. It's hell. It's a hellscape. I don't know where things go after that, because after that, all the balance is broken, and you can see it slowly happening already. You can see these people turning into the decrepit beings, whether it's insane looks maxing, whether it's morbid obesity rates, whether it's the dysgenia, is that even the word you'd say? That is the dysgenic nature of this generation, like literal subhumans, and that's very normal to see like these like subhuman creatures just kind of walking around, and I know that sounds terrible to disrespect my fellow man like that, but look, it's true. These people look, they don't look human. They look like just. I want you to just stand on a sidewalk on a busy road and just look inside the cars, look inside the windows, look who's driving. Like it's, you think these were cartoon drawings, you think these are characters, well these are people, and you can see how they're that's what happens when you don't give in to the sacrifice. You give in, you become this monstrosity. Think about someone really attractive, godlike physique, amazing skin, you know, great appearance, great aesthetics, aura. That fucking word, that four-letter word. Where does it come from? Discipline. Discipline of having a good diet. Discipline of keeping your body in health. Discipline of not inhaling too many bad toxins. Discipline of not stressing the body too much, and obviously we think working out, people say cortisol maxing about working out, but like no, your body's supposed to be put under stress. When I mean too much stressors, I mean things that actively work to wreck your body, like mindless sex, alcoholism, trauma, and shit talking. All these just worthless stressors. People like this with these amazing appearances, they just exude respect, and it's because of the sacrifice they put in. You don't want to see the world where this is a scale. You don't want to see that world, man. You're not ready for it. Nah, bro, I'm just gonna cope. I'm just gonna cope, bro. Yeah, I'm just coping, bro. No. You're not ready for this. You're really not. None of us are ready for this. Trust me, I know you. I know those moments where the cope breaks through and you're holding your head, you're screaming, and you're crying, and you're wishing for death. That'll actually that moment of insanity is going to be a cope for when you're actually in this world, in the Armageddon. You're going to be wishing that you were just screaming and crying, and not, ripping flesh and tying people up like you see in those metal covers, man. Like, it's going to be bad. It's going to be terrible, and it's going to be a war. The eudaimonics versus the heathens. What side are you on? And now it's time to prove your side. If you're with me, if you're part of the eudaimonics, you respect yourself, you know that results have to be earned. You don't believe in, I'm going to retire at 15, bro. You don't believe in being a fucking male housewife. You don't believe in getting shit for free because you can. You don't believe in fucking exploits and all this bullshit. Time to start sacrificing. You need to grow. You need to learn. Put real effort in. Because when you actually sacrifice, that balance of your life will make you much stronger. Because going back to this, right? Even though we can say that this looks very optimal for a person doesn't perceive it like this. This is how the world is. This is the general objective view of the world. But a person, at a certain point, the more they start to optimize the game, the reward's going to start diminishing due to how dopamine works. People are just getting reward. They're just taking reward, and not giving the sacrifice back. And what happens is that spawns chaos. That spawns the devil. There always needs to be a return. There always needs to be a collection. You can take reward. There needs to be a collection, and at a certain point, it becomes your soul. Why do we have sex? The child is born. That's a huge sacrifice. But now there's no condoms. I mean, there are condoms, no babies. So you're just getting the reward and pleasures of sex with no sacrifice, and all these people have a sacrifice debt, and it's just building up.
Indebted forever if you ever were to have sex.
It's more about what are you doing. If you have a relationship with this person, if you keep this person close, if they become family to you, then you're building more upon the sacrifice because you're holding on to the burdens. You're doing more. You're staying true. Putting up with more. You're sacrificing. I'm not saying to have a child, right? But maybe I am. Maybe that is the truth. I don't know. I don't know everything, but I know for sure that when you have sex with a woman and produce no child and then just move on and nothing happened, you are reaping a huge reward with little sacrifice. And spiritually, that is a terrible move. That's like stealing from God. So you just shouldn't live a hedonistic lifestyle. That's why all these Satanists and like Aleister Crowley, like they believe in all these dark evil arts. That's what's their main mindset is hedonism, because the main evil, most things that are evil and done poorly and done in poor taste are quite literally things that are inherently hedonistic. Because the right thing to do is always something that requires a sacrifice. Whether it's easy, big, or hard, easy or big or small, like it's the right thing to do is always the one that bears the sacrifice.
What if you just don't have a child? She's not fertile or something? Is she like in the wrong now or like?
It's not that she's in the wrong. It's more just What is your are you is if what is your what reward are you trying to gain? If you're just trying to get sex, you don't care about the person, you're not treating them right. You know for a fact you fuck with them with the mindset that you know they're temporary. Yes,
I
that
don't know if I
you
don't
are
think that's
reaping
right.
huge
Like
reward with little sacrifice. That is
if
bad.
you
Way worse than that. I genuinely think it's way worse than that. I think most of us are just are doomed to damnation because what we've done. Think about it, like cars. You're meant to wear and tear your body to get to the next location. Now we just teleport to it. We just sit down and teleport to the next location. That's a lot of reward with little sacrifice. Same thing with Uber Eats is even worse. You have someone else. You're actually taking someone else's sacrifice and reaping your own reward off it. You always pay back in some way. It doesn't mean like you're just gonna like die because you did bad things, right? But like the debt always exists. All this laziness, guess what? It adds to something. You become fatter, you become uglier, you become less responsible, become less sociable, you become more irritable because of all this that you're taking away. And there's a reason why the angels are beautiful and the demons are ugly. And when they are attractive, it's because they're holding a face that it's deception, it's trickery. Their real face is always ugly as fuck. Like the reason we were able to come up with this symbology of beautiful angels and ugly devils is because we understand and realize that people with these ugly traits and these gross bad behaviors are not the most attractive ones usually. I'm not talking about like jawline and no, I mean like you have you're obese. I wonder why. When you live without virtue, you become more like the devil. You become more like that's the demon eating your soul because you need to give something up. Something has to give. You can't just reap reward in the world works in balance. You can't just try to steal all the reward without any sacrifice. It's gonna kill you. The reward gets lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser the more you're exposed to it. To the point where you know, these heathens, they don't feel very rewarded by life. They're very miserable. The reward isn't moving at all. And in fact, it's the sacrifice that's moving. And they hate doing anything. If a car ride is 10 minutes, they're gonna start crying and like a car ride. All you're doing is you have music, you have temperature control. You're sitting, you're not moving, but they're still complaining. They're ungrateful, unholy disasters. So it doesn't even work in their end, It doesn't work in their end, but it works in your end though, because once you keep the balance just like this, it doesn't diminish shit. You feel great every time because you know what you gave is equal to what you were given. There's no novelty. There's novelty in this. This is very novel, and that gives you a hijacking of dopamine. Yeah, the first time you do this, it's like, well, this is amazing, but slowly it's nothing, 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 until the novelty has to be double up, jacked up in order for you to feel what you felt before, because you hijack to a level you were never meant to feel. You reached a godly state you were never meant to experience, and now every moment you're not at that level is a complete and utter misery. Why do you think in religions man was not meant to have godlike power? Because once they felt the awareness of godlike power and knowing that they can't hold it forever since they are man, they are mortal, it drove them into lunacy. It drove them crazy. So keep it equal. Keep it equal. Stay eudaimonic. Know that what you give is what you get. A little more, a little less, obviously, but keep it equal. Don't indulge. Don't goon. That's a word for us. Goon. Don't goon. That's what gooning is. Don't goon. Just mindlessly being self-indulgent. Don't goon. Because it shows on you. You can tell. It shows on you, and you look disgusting. Going on with the motif. That's how you fix this. That's how you fix this balance. We need to return sacrifice to looking more like this. I'm not saying, I'm not saying, okay, human sacrifice is time. Give up your baby. your cousin, throw your cousin in the pit. I'm not saying that. Alright, we don't need human sacrifices. What I am saying is that there will be human sacrifices. Whoever wants to fix the world, they're going to give up human sacrifices. And you don't want it to be you, do you? So give up something that isn't human, something that isn't life. Start with things that are not life before it ends up being you. Because it will happen. It will happen. And you're not safe. You're not protected. You're not okay. You're not going to be the one that escapes it. Everyone's viable. Everyone's an equal pick. Because once you get consumed by the madness, the vortex of hedonism, you can't say we didn't warn you. Because once it's like this, and we are here. Let's start with Earth. Global warming. Look how the Earth is dying. All I know is that the Earth burning up and this chart is most definitely correlated. The rapid population decline. Birth rate, I mean. Correlated. The fall and demise of critical thinking, of friendships, happiness. Correlated. The rise in apathy, evil, and demons. Correlated. It's all correlated. And don't you fucking tell me it's not, because it is. So start your training. Start sacrificing, getting rewarded. Be stronger, be smarter. Because you don't want to see what happens when this kicks in. It's not a fear monger. Because fear implies a probable idea that may or may not come. That's what the paranoia comes from. No time for paranoia. This is happening. This is real. The war is going to happen. These are not conniptions or malarkey. This is not this is not hysteria. The spiritual war is going to be invoked. Are you ready to fight, or are you ready to die? That's my only question. If you're ready to fight, join me. I gotta find a way to connect with people that feel like me, think like me, that are willing to fight like me. Because I do feel pretty alone. But not giving up. I don't want to give up. It's not that I don't want to give up. I can't give up. I know that I'm meant to be a leader in this war. Not on some self-tooting horn shit or whatever the fuck, right? But I know I'm meant to be a leader of this war. I know my goal is to collect people that will fight with me. My purpose, I should say. And maybe this video is to call upon you. If you hear me, join me, because it's not a fight we can win alone. I do see you. I do know you exist. And I need to be able to reach out to you guys. I can't just keep staying silent to myself. I need to find you guys. And that's the one good thing, I guess, about the internet. I can find, well, I guess if the internet exists, this war wouldn't even have to be here. But since it is, might as well use it to find people that will join me. Yeah, so don't goon. Do work hard. Stay safe. That's all.